a fan-pleasing adventure. With much fanfare and anticipation, the third entry in the Deadpool series was released nationwide on July 26, 2024. And even though it cost $200 million to produce, nearly 4 times the cost of the original, it's also the only Marvel Cinematic Universe film of the year, so it's expected to score huge at the box office. $1 billion could be in play. This also marks the first integration of 20th Century Fox's X-Men film franchise into the larger MCU, after Disney acquired that studio in 2019 for $71 billion. And with that acquisition came Deadpool and his infamous R rating. How would the House with the Mouse handle this adult material? Well, Marvel head Kevin Feige opted to let boys be boys, so the character's trademark violence and lewd language is on full, glorious display. It remains to be seen how this will integrate into future team-up movies, but for now, this is Disney's first R-rated Marvel movie, and it works. After some multi-dimensional shenanigans bring them together, the 128-minute story sees Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool joining forces with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine to defeat a common enemy and save a universe. The film's timeline-hopping plot is, at its core, a convoluted means to an end. It exists only to allow the filmmakers creative carte blanche to stuff in whatever character or reference they'd like and have it work. Thankfully, Deadpool's fourth-wall-breaking superpower allows him to guide the audience through this mess by explicitly acknowledging the machinations behind the Disney-Fox merger and its implications on the story. Trying to explain this within the narrative would have been cumbersome, so while it feels like a total cheat, I appreciated the straightforward approach.
I smell what you're stepping in, Sensei. Your little cinematic universe is about to change forever.
Once that foundational exposition is out of the way, things get off to a roaring start with a corpse-desecrating fight montage set to the ironically upbeat sounds of NSYNC's Bye Bye Bye. From there, the story pivots to a proper buddy film with Reynolds and Jackman. Having previously appeared together only briefly in the disappointing X-Men Origins Wolverine, the gentlemen are finally afforded the opportunity to star in a proper two-hander. And it's a delight to see these real-life friends bring their famous chemistry to the big screen. That familiarity is something they also share with the film's director, Sean Levy. Reynolds worked with him on Free Guy and The Atom Project, and Jackman starred in Real Steel, all 3 of which I've already reviewed, which you can read or watch by clicking here. Reynolds is predictably excellent, as always, maintaining his snark without becoming irritating. His character, however, is in a state of arrested development, as he doesn't learn or do anything new. If there's a Deadpool 4, I'd like to see Marvel do something genuinely disruptive or different with him. One-liners and self-deprecating monologues about sacrifice can only sustain this franchise for so long. Then there's Jackman as the Wolverine. Including cameos, this is his 10th time portraying that character, and while Logan remains his strongest performance, he taps into some genuine emotional pathos here. Even in his 50s, this Australian still has the sauce. He's also a perfect comedic foil for Ryan's constant quips, much of which come at the Greatest Showman's expense. And while I'm certainly not a comic purist, it was delightful to see Hugh finally don that iconic yellow and blue cowl. Meanwhile, Emma Corrin is featured as the bald and menacing villain that rules over the Void. She's serviceable in the role, but her motivation is just lazy writing. Narratively, little here is compelling or organic. It exists only to smash together intellectual property for laughs. I was also disappointed that nearly all supporting characters from previous Deadpool films are sidelined, and only glimpsed in the bookends. I wasn't expecting much continuation there, but it would have been nice to catch up with Dopinder or Domino again. The first Deadpool relied on potty humor, the sequel on pop culture, and this threequel leans heavily into self-referential comic book lore. This constant barrage of callbacks and references is like drinking from a garden hose, with an array of material only the terminally online can fully appreciate. Indeed, one character's entire dialogue string relies on the audience knowing about a shelved Fox project from 10 years ago. If you've been watching Marvel films since the 90s, you're in for a treat, but I fear many will be left scratching their heads at some of the more obscure references. None of the surprise cameos are particularly significant to the plot, so I guess you'd be okay without knowing who they are. Still, it was fun to see these characters again, and the actors themselves are provided a nice, if brief, opportunity to tie a bow on their respective legacies. And then during the end credits, a clip show montage of Fox's X-Men franchise is a fun send-off to characters and actors of yesteryear. Beyond these deep-cut cameos and fan-pleasing references, it's the multiversal variants of Deadpool and Wolverine that provide some of the best laughs, as we glimpse angrier, shorter, and nicer versions of the title characters. While the visuals here aren't noteworthy, I'm happy to report that everything is cleanly photographed against simple and uncluttered sets. An early sequence amidst massive ruined artifacts in a temporal purgatory is particularly inspired. The giant, hollowed-out corpse of Ant-Man is undoubtedly one of the more creative decisions. All the while, the fight choreography allows for ample blood and gore.
Let's fucking go!
Let's fucking go.
Although it's a clumsy introduction of the X-Men into the MCU, this is a hugely amusing experience for die-hard fans. But God help you if you go into this picture without having seen at least 24 other films first. I can't in good conscience even recommend it to casual viewers for that reason. But if you are determined, I'd suggest watching, at a minimum, Deadpool 1 and 2, obviously, and then Logan and Season 1 of Loki. And for those who have already invested half their lives watching these stories and following these characters, Deadpool and Wolverine is tailor-made for you, a raucously fun time that satisfyingly unites two of Marvel's best characters. I thought this film was great, and I'm excited to watch it again soon. That does it for this episode of Movie Night, but if you'd like to watch more content, click or tap the thumbnails on the left. And don't forget to visit the Jogwheel YouTube channel to see full episodes of the show, alongside all my other videos. My name is Jonathan Paula, thanks for watching, and have a good movie night.